Hey everybody, welcome back to another MR Academy video. And in this one today, we are going to be talking about these two things, equivalent fractions and simplifying fractions. In the time that I have been in the classroom, fractions have been some of the toughest things that I have witnessed for students to understand. There's a lot that goes with fractions, and two of the things that are the most difficult for them that I have found have been equivalent fractions and simplifying fractions. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today and go with these kind of problems and a couple word problems as well. That way you get a little bit of experience with both. So equivalent fractions, we're going to start off with that. We're going to take a look at number one right here. With all of these, when it comes to equivalent fractions, the thing that we are trying to figure out is what is the missing piece. Okay? And I'm going to write that right up here. Missing piece. And what things have in common. Okay? What do the fractions have in common? Okay? And that's going to come into play a little bit later with our simplifying fractions. But for right now, we are looking for the missing piece. Okay? So when we are taking a look at number one here, we want to go from 3/5, 3 over 5. That equals something over 25. Well, obviously we are missing that piece right there. But how do we get there? Okay? The thing that we want to look at first of all is, what do we know? Because that's going to help solve our problem right there. So we know that on the bottom, we have a 5 on this one, and we know the bottom on the other side. So what we need to figure out is, how do I get from 5 to 25? Now, some of you might think that, okay, I add 20, so I just have to add 20 onto the top, right? It would be 23 over 25. Not the case. When you're talking fractions like this, when you're working with equivalent fractions, we're going to multiply. So we're going to look for, okay, what do I have to multiply this by in order to get this one? Okay? Adding, subtracting, not going to happen. Okay? If you were going the other way, if you were going maybe from 25 to 5, you could do the same thing. Okay? Except you would be dividing. If you're going from big to small, you would divide. However, our problem is we don't know what this number is up here. That's why I'm starting small and going big. We know the top and the bottom in the small one, so we're going to go with our small side, and we're going to multiply to get to the big. Okay? So, to get from 5 to 25, what do I have to multiply by? I have to multiply by 5. And we're going to do the same thing on top. We're going to multiply by 5 then. What we do to the bottom of a fraction, we have to do to the top. What we do to the top of a fraction, we have to do to the bottom. Always going to be the same thing right there. Okay? 5 times 5, 25. 3 times 5 would then be how much? 15 out of 25 is the same thing as 3/5. 15 25ths is the same as 3/5. All right. Now, before we continue on, now that I've got you hooked, I do want to give a shout out to the person that put this worksheet together. Okay? She's got her Teachers Pay Teachers page that she has resources on, and her name is Kelsey Matthew. I'll put her name in the description below the video so you can check out her Teachers Pay Teachers page and see how, or what she has up on her board, okay, what she has to offer for you. So I wanted to give a shout out because she put the work into creating this worksheet, and we are going to use it to try to help you guys out today. So we're going to move on to number 2. Now that we've gotten the shout out there to Kelsey Matthew. We have blank over 3, something over 3, equals 66 over 66. Well, we got some big numbers here. Okay? This time we're going to start on the big side. We don't know one of the numbers on the little side, on the small side of the fraction, so we're going to go on the big side. We're going to go 66 over 66 as our starting point. Now, a couple ways we could do this. We're going to start off with doing the reverse of what we did on the last problem. Okay, the last problem we started by multiplying. This time, I want to figure out what I have to divide by in order to get to 3? I divide 66 by what to get to 3? Well, if I was going to do that, I could say 66 divided by 3. 3 goes into 6 2 times. Minus 6, and we have nothing. And then we have 3 goes into 6 2 times. Okay? So we're going to divide by 22. We know that now. Okay? So 66 divided by 22 is 3. Well, same thing on the top. 66 divided by 22 is 3. Now you could also look at that and say, okay, well, 66 divided by 66, I'm just going to have the same number on the top and the bottom, so it's got to be 3 over 3. Either way, I like showing work. I like seeing work like this. Okay? And that's why I showed it on here. So if you can do it in your head, that's great, but teachers will always appreciate when you show work. Okay? That way we at least know how you got your answer. Number 3, we're going to move on to. And I'm not going to do all 15 of these. We're just going to do a handful of them just to help you practice a little bit. But number 3, we've got 49/56 equals 7 over something. We don't know what that something is yet, but 49 over 56 equals something over, or 7 over something. Okay? So again, we're going to go from big to small. So if we are going from big to small, I'll put this up here, we'll start with small to big. We are going to multiply. Big to small, we are going to divide. So we are going big to small in this case because we know both numbers on the big side. So how do we get from 49 to 7? Well, we could do like we did over here and divide it out. Or I could think, what 7 times what equals 49? Well, 7 times 7 equals 49. So I would have to divide 49 by 7 to get to 7. I would then have to divide 56 by 7 to get something. Well, 56 divided by 7, again, I could multiply that out. If I know my facts, I could just put the number down. Or I could say, okay, 7 times what equals 56? Well, 7 times 8 equals 56. And there's our answer for that one. All right. Let's go, and we are going to skip down. Let's skip down to this one right here. Okay, number 8. 10 over something equals 2 over 10. Okay. Well, it's just flip-flopped from number 1 up here. Okay. We know the small, but it's just on the other side this time. Nothing to worry too much about. So we know the small one. We're trying to get to the big one. Okay. So we're going to go from small to big, which means we are going to multiply. So 2 times what would equal 10? Well, that would be 5. Which means that we have to multiply the bottom by 5 as well. So 2 times 5 equals 10. 10 times 5 equals 50. Good stuff. Let's do one more. And let's go to 14. I'll take a look at 14 here. Again, we know the small one. We're going to go too big. So small to big, we're going to multiply. So 2 times what equals 38? Well, let's just divide it out for the fun of it. 38 divided by 2. And 2 goes into 3 one time. And 1 times 2 is 2. There we go. And 2 goes into 18 9 times. So 19 is what our multiplier is going to be. So we're going to multiply top and bottom by 19, because what you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom in a fraction, just to keep it the same. 2 times 19 is 38. 3 times 19, I believe, is 57, but you know what? We're going to check just to make sure. 57. Not going to help us there. 19 times 3 is what we're looking for. 3 times 9 is 27. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 57. There we are. So 2/3 is the same as 38/57 in that problem right there. Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. So that is the missing piece. We try to figure out that missing piece right there. Okay? By figuring out what we have to multiply by or divide by in order to keep the fraction the same on one side and figure out what we're missing on the other side. Now we're going to simplify some fractions. This is going to change things just a little bit. Okay? This time we're going to look for what they have in common. Okay? We're going to start with number 16 right here. Okay? Number 16, 7/21. We need to simplify that. We want to make that fraction as small as possible. We want to make the top number and the bottom number as small as they can get. Okay? 7/21. What do 7 and 21 have in common? Well, 7, you can't divide that by 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, but you can divide 7 by 7, and that's going to get us a smaller number. We could divide by 1, but that's not going to change our number at all, so we're going to try to keep it with our 7. So we're going to divide by 7. That's going to get us a 1 on top. 21. That one we can also divide by 7. What's 21 divided by 7? Well, 7 times what equals 21? 3. Our top can't get any smaller. Therefore, our fraction is simplified. It is made as small as we can possibly make it. Number 17. We're going to take a look at that one. 10/45. Again, we're going to look for something that we can divide it by, top and bottom, that's going to make the top number and the bottom number as small as possible. So, we can divide them by 1 each. Well, that's not going to change our number. Not going to change the fraction. 1's not going to do us any good. 10, we can divide 10 by 2. But can we divide 45 by 2? We could, but it's going to be a decimal. And decimals and fractions do not go together very well. They cannot have a decimal inside of a fraction. It's not pretty. Stay away from it. Okay. 3. Can we divide 10 by 3? No. We can divide 45 by 3, but we can't do 10. 4, we can't divide either one of them by 4 and get a non-decimal number. But 5, I think we can do. 5 we can divide. So what's 10 divided by 5? How many times does 5 go into 10? How many 5s are there in 10? Well, there are 2. And 45, we can ask the same thing. We're going to divide by 5. 45 divided by 5, or how many 5s are in 45? There are 9 of them. Top, we could divide by 2, but we can't divide the bottom by 2. So therefore, we are done. That's the only answer we can have right there. Yeah. Let's go down and try 23. We'll try problem number 23. 48 divided by 72. 48 70-seconds. This is a big one. Even off the top of my head, I do not know this one. So we're just going to try some stuff. 48. Can we divide that by 2? Absolutely, we can divide that by 2. Can we divide 72 by 2? Absolutely. Let's do that. We're just going to start off with that. Let's divide by 2. I know there's probably going to be more work to be done, but we're going to start with that. 48 divided by 2 is 24. 72 divided by 2 is 36. All right. But just by looking at this one, I noticed that, I can divide that by some other numbers too. I could divide the top and bottom by 2 again if I wanted to. So you know what? Let's do that. Divide by 2, divide by 2. And we're going to go down here just to give us a little bit more room. So 24 divided by 2, or 2 times what is 24? That would be 12. 36 divided by 2, or what times 2 is 36? That would be 18. So looking at that number right there, I know there's more work to be done because I can divide the top and bottom again by 2. 12 divided by 2, or what times 2 is 12? Well, that would be 6. 18 divided by 2, or 2 times what equals 18? Well, that would be 9. But you know what? Looking at this, we can do even more with that. So let's do more. What can I divide the top and the bottom by so that I get whole numbers on the top and bottom yet? Well, if I divide by 2 on the top, I'll get 3, but if I divide 9 by 2, it's going to be 4.5. We can't have that. If we divide the top by 3 and the bottom by 3, that's going to get us some whole numbers. So let's do that. 6 divided by 3, 9 divided by 3. 6 divided by 3, or 3 times what equals 6? Well, that would be 2. 9 divided by 3, or 3 times what equals 9? That would be 3. So I am left with 2/3. I can't do anything in the top and the bottom that would make that any smaller than what it is. Now I'm looking at this, all this work that we just did. We started off with 48 70-seconds, and we ended up with 2/3. Yes, we could have divided the top and the bottom by the same thing. I could have divided the top and bottom by 24 each. But you know what? I wanted you to see this. I wanted you to see that not only is 2/3 the same as 48 70-seconds, 24 36ths is the same as both of them, 12 18ths is the same as all 3 of those, and 6 9ths is the same as the other 4. There are a lot of different options when you are simplifying fractions. There are a lot of equivalent fractions back up to the top, right up here. Okay, all of these that we just drew out, 2/3, 6 9ths, 12 18ths, 24 36ths, 48 70-seconds. Those are all equivalent fractions to each other. They're all the same. They're just written in different ways. Okay? So keep that in mind. Simplifying fractions, you want to simplify as far as you possibly can, almost all the time. That's what your teacher is going to be looking for. That's what your test, your homework is going to be looking for. But notice, at the same time, you can go step by step like this. You don't have to just find the biggest thing to divide by. It'll save you time. But look at all of these other equivalent fractions we found on our way to our final answer. Personally, I think that's pretty cool. Not everybody will think it is, but personally, I find that to be pretty cool. Okay? So if you need to go step by step, if you just need to divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 3 to get there, there's nothing wrong with that. If you automatically know just by looking at that right there, that, hey, I can divide the top and the bottom by 24, that's going to get me my answer, you can do that. Okay? You can divide the top and bottom by 6 as well if you want to. You can divide the top and the bottom by 4 if you want to get your numbers. Whatever method you want to go, that is what you can do. Okay? There's nothing wrong with any of those. All right? We'll finish off by taking a look at the word problems down here. So we're going to start off with 25. You and 4 of your 9 classmates received an A on your math test. What is the simplest fraction of students that scored an A on the test? Well, we know that there are 9 classmates, okay, plus you. So 9 classmates plus you, another person, equals 10. We know that 10 has to be on the bottom of that fraction. And then it says that you and 4 of your 9 classmates, okay? So you, 1, plus 4 more, that's 5. We know that 5 of us got A's on the test, and there are 10 people total in the class. Therefore, our fraction is 5/10. But we are looking for the simplest fraction, okay? We're going to simplify that. 5/10. What can I divide the top and the bottom by in order to get the smallest number possible on the top and bottom? Well, the only thing I can divide 5 by is 1 and 5. If I divide by a 1 on the top and bottom, is that going to change my answer? No. It's going to make it look exactly the same. But I can divide the top and the bottom by 5. If I divide by 5, divide by 5, that's going to get me my answer up here, which is 1/2. 1/2 of our students in the class scored an A on the test. Okay. 26. If you eat 2 slices of a medium pizza with 8 slices, okay, so I ate 2 of them, and there are 8 total, what is the simplest fraction for the number of slices of pizza left over? Okay? So that's how much we ate. Okay, so we ate 2 of the 8. So how many are left then? If we ate 2 of the 8 slices, how many are left? Well, 8 minus 2 is 6 out of the 8 pieces. But again, it wants us to go for the simplest fraction. Okay, simplest fraction. So 6/8, well, I can divide the top and bottom by 1, but as we talked about, that's not going to change our number at all. We can divide the top and the bottom by 2, though. And that is going to get us 3/4. 3/4 of the pizza would then be left over. Okay? That is our simplest fraction. Can't divide the 3 and the 4 by the same number anymore in order to get a whole number. Okay? Now, equivalent fractions, we're going to finish off with number 27 here. An equivalent fraction is anything kind of like we did up here. So let's say I want to find, okay, 1/2. We'll start off with number 25. Okay. Number 25, I started off with 1/2. There are an infinite number of equivalent fractions you could write for this one. Okay. You could multiply the top and the bottom by 2 to get 2/4. You could multiply the top and the bottom by 3 to get 3/6. You could multiply the top and the bottom by 4 to get 4/8. Okay? All of those are equivalent to 1/2. If we look at 26, equivalent fraction for 3/4, well, we can do the same thing. We can multiply the top and the bottom by 2. We're left with 6/8, which we had over here to start with. We can multiply the top and the bottom by 3, and we could end up with 9/12. We could multiply the top and the bottom by 4. 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. 12/16 would be the same thing as 3/4. You could come up with any possible equivalent fraction that you want to. As long as you multiply the top and the bottom by the same number, it's going to give you an equivalent fraction for whatever you're starting off with. Okay? So a lot to soak in there, but that's the important thing. When you're looking at equivalent fractions, you're trying to find a missing number, try to find the missing piece. When you're trying to simplify fractions, you're looking for what do they have in common? Like 7 and 21, they had 7 in common. 4 and 38, well, we could find a 2 in there that they have in common. 15 and 25, they both have a 5 in common. We could divide the top and bottom by 5. Okay? And when it comes to writing equivalent fractions, if you're just given one and you have to write an equivalent, multiply the top and the bottom by the same thing, it'll be an equivalent fraction. There's nothing very, very difficult about that. They sound scary. Equivalent fractions are big words, especially for middle school students. But they're not as scary as what they sound. Okay? So keep all of those in mind. As always, feel free to share this video. Like I said before, head on over to Kelsey Matthews' Teachers Pay Teachers page. I've got that down below in the description. I've got a link to her page for you so you can see what else she has to offer. And I thank her for posting this on there and letting me use it. And feel free to head on over and subscribe to my channel as well. Okay? This is my 3rd video on this channel that I've put together. I plan on putting together a lot more going forward. So hit that subscribe button, drop a like if you've got any idea for a video that you want to see me make in the future, whether it's math, science, reading, anything you want me to talk about, just school in general. Drop a comment. Let me know what you want to hear about from me. I want to help you out. That's the purpose of this channel. I want to help students. I want to help parents. I want to help other teachers. I want to make things as easy as I can with all of these topics in school. So drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear, what you want me to do a video on, and I will try my best to get that put together. But until then, I look forward to hearing from you. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and take care.